Listen to this episode if you work from home and you feel like you're losing your mind a little bit. You don't know how to stay productive. You don't know how people are building these massive businesses, or even if you have a corporate job, how are people doing this? I have been working from home for my entire life. I ran my family's company from my college dorm. I've run my business and grew my business from my college dorm. And I have literally been working for myself from home since I graduated college full time. I worked out of a bus when I traveled the world in a bus. And now I have a house and I have an office and I have been working from home. And honestly, my friends all the time reach out when they get a virtual job or they go hybrid or they are able to work from home for their job. And they say, Maddie, how do you not go insane? And so those are my credentials. I've also been coaching other business owners for a very long time how to run their business. But honestly, whether you're a business owner or you're a corporate employee or whatever, this is going to be helpful for you of how I work from home, how I've built a successful multi-six-figure business from home, and how I don't go insane while doing it. Because truthfully, that absolutely can happen. I have a long list of things here that I recommend you do that we're going to go through today. There's 12 things. And honestly, my biggest mantra is the last one of how it really works, because there really is routines, boundaries, and tips and tricks of how to be productive, because you easily can do your laundry or wash your dishes or hang out and watch TV all day long. And how do I choose to continue to work and to continue to build my business? So we're going to dive into this. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about people that have kids. I understand that is a different situation than what I'm talking about here. It obviously leaves another layer of things, but today we're more so talking about if you need to run something full-time from home, how do you stay productive and not go insane? If you're new here, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to introduce myself. My name is Madison Page. I am a business growth specialist, and I help turn product businesses into the next category leaders. I've probably worked with some of your favorite product-based businesses to get them to where they are today. We've built millions of dollars in revenue for other companies. And this is something that's really key unless you have an office somewhere. And I know so many founders don't have that. You want to be able to work from home, even if you're doing it a couple days a week. So we're going to dive into this today. We're going to go down the list of what I really see being helpful for these people. If you're new here, just click the subscribe button. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday for ambitious people, highly effective people that are trying to chase big goals in life. First things first is you need to have a designated place to work. So even when I didn't have a designated office in my house, I always worked from the same place, whether it be on my porch, I had a certain chair that I sat in, and that's where I was. In my bus, I had a specific spot that I sat in, or it was just at my kitchen table. I have always had a designated workspace, even if it's just mentally what I deemed as my designated workspace in my house. Why this is because it actually wires your brain to know that when you sit down, you are working. You cannot work from bed or the couch as your designated workspace. You need an actual space that you sit down that is not somewhere comfy, cozy, that you could just happen to turn the TV on and watch a little TV with it as well. That's just not going to work for you. You need to have, whether it be a table, a desk, or literally it can be your kitchen table. I had this like ridiculous stool set up at one of my houses because we've moved around a lot since I've started my business 8 years ago. It was basically all they had was like a coffee nook. We were there for a couple of months and it was like I had to sit on stools, but it hurt my back. And I still had a designated place. I made it work and I made a setup for myself, but you need to have a designated setup. You basically need to trick your brain into saying, I'm sitting here and I'm working. And some people say that they light a signature candle scent. Some people say that they play specific music. Whatever it is, you just need to tell your brain, when I'm sitting here, I am working. So that allows for you to not have to work 24/7 because not everywhere in your house is actually your workspace. The next one is that you need to create start of the day and end of the day routines. Your start of the day routines, again, tell your mind we are starting to work. At the end of the day, it tells your brain that I can shut off. So whatever it looks like, whether it's like you work out, shower, drink your coffee, sit down in your office. Maybe you do the exact same task as the first thing that you do every day. Maybe you walk your dog, maybe you eat breakfast, maybe you sit down, you say a mantra, and you get started. Or maybe you drop your kids off at school, you drink your coffee in peace, and then you sit down and work. It doesn't matter what the routine is. You can listen to a song to start the day, you can journal to start the day, you can look at your to-do list to start the day. Whatever it might be, you just need the first thing you do to transition into work and out of work to be the same. So first thing I do every day is I do my morning routine, and then I sit down to work with a cup of coffee and a glass of water. I get all of my beverages. I usually have about 3 beverages on my desk at a time. I get all of my beverages, I sit down and I open Slack and I check in with my clients. My brain knows that when I'm checking in with my clients, I'm either starting or ending my day. My end of the day is the same thing, but opposite. You either need to finish your final task, review what you're doing tomorrow, close your computer, clean your desk, whatever it might be, and then have this transitional moment. So what I do is I check in with my clients if there's anything I need to do before I log off. And then I look at what I have to do tomorrow. I write a Post-it note of my 3 big things I have to get done tomorrow. And then I physically close my laptop. Do I have to? No, I have an office that could stay up. I literally take my camera off my laptop. I sit down and I close my laptop to tell my brain that I am going into off work mode. And then I take my dog for a walk pretty much every night. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook, but it just transitions my brain into Maddie personal life brain. And then I make myself dinner. I hang out with my husband, and it just allows for me to trick my brain into turning off. You basically have to tell yourself you're done working now. Kind of on top of that is you need to know your actual working hours. I tried to just work when I felt like it for a long time. It doesn't work like that. And I also used to be ridiculous with my calendar that I was down to the minute of what I would need to do. If I was at 9:01 sitting down, I would be bummed. But what you have to do is you have to know your general working hours. Now, we talk all about how to be productive and how to build a calendar on a lot of other episodes, but today we're talking about how to work from home, because it's really easy for you to get caught up in your morning routine, and then you're reading a book or you're going to work out, and all of a sudden it's 11:30 and you haven't started work yet. You do still need to tell yourself that you have working hours, so you sit down and you do those things. It doesn't matter if it's you work from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then you go work out from 11 to noon. I don't care what your day looks like. I'm not telling you you need to work 9 to 5 from home, but I do want you to have blocks within your calendar that you know you are sitting down and you are working. The best thing about working from home, especially if you work for yourself, this might not be the same if you work corporate, but the best thing from working from home is that you do get to create your schedule. So sometimes I work out from 1 to 2 p.m. because the gym is packed in the morning and it's packed after work. And so I oftentimes eat lunch and I work out. And then I come home. If I need to shower, I shower, and then I do the second half of my day. And so you can create your day still. Some of my friends work from like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. because that's when their brain works, and they do a whole morning and they have a whole nice daily routine that they love, but they work from the afternoons. That's what works for them. I do tell myself I work usually from 9 to 5 just because I'm already on Pacific time. I work a little bit behind. If I start at 9, some of my clients on Eastern are already at noon. I just know that I want to sit down and get going with my day. And I'd rather end early to have my evenings if my husband's home or whatever, to be able to go and do something else. So that's what I do. I tell myself I work 9 to 5, and then you're flexible. I have these plans, and then they're kind of loosely held if I need to change something, because that's the perk of being a business owner. Another one, this one's really simple, but you need to get ready in the morning. You cannot be sitting in your sweatpants and your pajamas without your contacts in and think that you are going to be productive. If you are slouchy and loungy, now I'm not in a blazer and a pencil skirt at home. I don't even own a pencil skirt. I do own a blazer, but I'm definitely not wearing it from home. But you do have to get ready. It doesn't mean you have to shower every single day. It doesn't mean that you have to put a full face of makeup on. But I do recommend at least putting yourself together. Even sometimes I take my PJs off and I put another comfy outfit on. I would say about 95% of my clothes is pretty comfortable. I do live in kind of like athletic wear or like stretchy pants, but It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be super dressed up, but you have to be put together because, again, it signals to your brain that we're doing something else today. We're not being unproductive, that you actually are working. It's not, I'm hanging out at my house. It's not a Saturday. You're saying, I'm starting my work day. Today is my work day, and this is how we get going from there. The next one is that you do have to live by your calendar, because I could go all day long, but I live by my calendar. It's probably the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, as well as one of the first things that I do when I go to bed at night is I just double check my calendar of what's going on the next day or today. So I know what my calendar looks like. I live by my calendar for productivity in general. You have to. If you're a business owner, if you are a highly ambitious person, you need a calendar. There is nobody that I know that does not have a calendar that is a millionaire, right? You need to be able to live by a calendar and be able to figure out what that looks like for you. Your calendar tells you exactly what is going to happen, but if you have a calendar, you can also kind of time block what you're doing the night before. So it allows for you to be able to stay on task. I don't have to do this anymore because I used to time block super rigidly when I first started, but I've been working from home for so long that I don't have to time block anymore. Man, like even when I was in college, I would rather take online classes. And my friends always thought I was crazy taking online classes because how do you even convince yourself to do it? But I just had to live by my calendar. I told myself I'm doing my homework in these hours, or I'm doing this classwork in these hours, and the other hours of my day, I can do whatever I want. But these are the hours that I am working. Lunch goes on the calendar. Walking goes on the calendar. End of workday goes on the calendar. I have everything on my calendar so I can stay consistent with it. Because what you cannot measure cannot be managed, and you have to be able to measure some of these pieces. This forces you to also be realistic about the capacity of what you can do. Because if you're loading up your calendar and you're like, I can't even fit this on my calendar for tomorrow, you're probably telling yourself you can get too much done in one day. One of the biggest things that I have to say is you have to be able to separate your personal versus professional life, even when you're working in your home. You got to stop doing laundry at 2 p.m. You got to stop doing your dishes at 11 a.m. because you saw your dirty dishes pile and you're starting to do it. When I am working, my brain is in work mode. Even if my mom calls, I tell my mom I am working from 9 to 5. So if you need me ASAP, you can text me and say, hey, do you have time for a call? But don't call me during my working hours. I am still working. And of course, again, we have plans that are loosely held. So I am rigid until I don't want to be. And if there's something that pops up, if something happens with my friend, if somebody texts me and says, hey, do you have a minute to chat? Of course, I'm popping in there, but people need to respect, as well as you need to respect, that you are working during those hours. Again, you have to live by that calendar. It's really easy to walk past the dishwasher and say, I'm just going to unload this quick. Or you notice the laundry and then all of a sudden you're switching it. I do my personal tasks on my personal time. I am not doing my personal tasks on my business time. Sometimes at lunch, maybe. But again, my lunch, my 1 hour lunch that I allot myself is personal time. I might throw something in the laundry then, but then I'm not touching it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not flipping it. I'm not folding it. You have to be able to be there. Your house being accessible doesn't mean maintaining your house is part of working from home. Doesn't mean that that just opened up the door to how you can maintain, clean, or watch TV throughout the day. Those things are off limits during my work hours. I don't watch TV from 9 to 5. It's not like I have Netflix set up and I'm working, because how can you expect yourself to be productive if you're going to do that? It's just not going to work. And I'm somebody that loves to put a movie on and be kind of creative and poke around, but I still do that after hours. That's a bonus working hour for me. It's not something that I replace during the day. Number 7 is one of my biggest things, if you've listened to anything before, for just being productive and knowing what to do in your business and growing your business. You need to know your non-negotiables. People all the time are like, Maddie, how do you know what to do all the time? How I know what to do all the time is because I know my non-negotiables of what needs to be done daily and weekly in order to let my business still function. I have work-life balance, quote unquote. I don't really like that term, but I'm able to have a healthy personal life because I know my non-negotiables. And I'm also aware there's forever going to be a list of a million things that I could do that I'm not getting done. I know every single night at 9 p.m. that when I'm going to bed, I could be doing something else. I could be working, but is it absolutely necessary and mission critical for me to be doing that right now? No, it's not. And of course, sometimes there's days that I work until 7 p.m. because I needed to. Some days I'm starting answering messages at 7 a.m. I'm not like ridiculous with this. I'm not incredibly rigid with it, but you have to be rigid 95% of the time so you can allow yourself some flexibility here. But you can't sit down and say, I have 37 things on my to-do list that I could potentially work on. You have to say, if I only accomplished 3 things today, what's going to move the needle, what is absolutely necessary, and what's going to help me make sales. That is how you grow your business, is by knowing your non-negotiables. You have a list of non-negotiables. What do you have to get done? And then your growth tasks. What are your other things that you are building, developing, and growing outside of your non-negotiables? That's what you fill your other time with. But if you are at home and let's say you don't feel well, or you have a kid that's sick, or whatever that might be, or just like, the weather's crummy and you just want to watch movies, at least you know your non-negotiables at all times. That's something that's necessary. Hey, I've been getting some DMs that you may not know what I do outside of hosting this podcast. I actually work with product-based business owners every single day to help them grow and scale their brand. If you really want my eyes one-on-one inside of your business to look at your strategy, to look at your funnels, to look at your data, and to develop your next campaign or bring your business or your idea to life, that is exactly what I do every single day. I've worked with 500 plus businesses across 70 different industries to help them become the next household name in their industry. If you are craving a business brain, a strategic advisor, a data-centered, obsessed person to come into your business and help you bring your idea to life, I'm your gal. Come on over to my Instagram at @thisismadison page, DM me support. Otherwise, you can click the link in the show notes to apply today. Okay, back to the episode. Number 8 is an absolute non-negotiable if you're working from home. You gotta get out of the house. I get out of the house at least on a walk every single day. And if it's not a walk, it's going to the gym. You need to remove yourself from your home so you don't get cabin fever. Cabin fever is when you drive yourself crazy in your own brain. A lot of times when I talk to people and they say, I'm going insane, feeling a little depressed, working from home, and I ask them, when was the last time you left the house? A lot of times it's 5 to 7 days. A lot of times it's like, well, it's Friday and I haven't left since Sunday. Like, I've been home. And I have done that. I do that still where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like Thursday and I haven't left the house. But I also don't mind it. I am at least going for a walk or going to the gym every day. I'm getting out of the house and I'm doing something different. Even if it's just going to a coffee shop for a coffee in the morning, going for a drive, going to the P.O. box, like whatever you need to do, just get yourself out of the house. If you only stay in the walls of your home, you are going to drive yourself crazy. People need people in their life. People need other external things in their life than work. Even though you might talk to people on Zoom all day, it doesn't count. You need to walk outside, go to the gym, work from a coffee shop occasionally. You need to run errands after work, meet someone for lunch, go to dinner, take a class, go see your friends, like go to the park with your kids, whatever. I don't care what you do. You just have to get out of the house at least once a week. If it's Thursday and I haven't gotten out of the house, there's a class that I go to every Thursday night, a workout class that will help me see some of my friends and get out of the house, get some movement in and kind of refresh. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been a long time. You don't always naturally do this because you're so wrapped up. Because if you're working from home, you don't have a commute. Again, sometimes you're not getting ready for the day. By the end of the day, you're walking, you're doing all these things, and then you make dinner and then it's time to put a movie on and you never leave because you've been thinking about watching a movie all day because you're in your house. You need to purposely schedule getting out of the house. My husband leaves for 2 weeks at a time. My husband's gone right now for 2 weeks at a time. He's a wildland firefighter for the National Forest Service, and he leaves me for 2 weeks at a time. And I would go absolutely insane if I did not schedule time to get out of the house. It took me probably 3 years, especially when he's gone, because I'm a husband gal. If he's home, I just need one person to be able to chit chat with. I'm good. I don't really need to get out of the house anymore because, again, I've been working from home for a long time. When he's gone, though, and it's just me and I have nobody but my dog to talk to, I do go a little insane. It took me 2 full summers, 2 full seasons of him doing this job to be like, Maddie, you got to schedule getting out of the house. So when he's gone, I get out of the house more. I go to more coffee shops. I go to more classes. I go and do things. I'm an extrovert. I gotta go and do those things. But even if you are an introvert, go read a book in a coffee shop. You need to get out of the house. It is one of the absolute biggest things. Create reasons to interact with the outside world. Otherwise, you're going to go insane. You're truly going to get cabin fever. Number 9, we have 3 more. The last one is going to be my mantra that I live by. You also have to stop working. You need to know that just because you can work 24/7 doesn't mean you're supposed to. Doesn't mean that every day you are home, you also could be a work day. There are 2 types of people that work from home. People that can't convince themselves to work, and then people that also can't convince themselves to stop working. You have to realize that you do need to stop working. Just because you can work 24/7 doesn't mean you need to. Just because your computer's at your house doesn't mean you need to. You need to convince yourself that that time away is going to help you tomorrow when you sit back down to work, have a more efficient day, have a more productive day, get more done, and be better tomorrow. You have to be able to tell yourself to do that. Your phone has Slack on it. You can answer emails at 9 p.m. You can constantly be doing things. You can be tweaking your website whenever you want because it's on your laptop in your house. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually a helpful thing for you to do. You need to have boundaries on the other side of also stop working. That is, close your laptop, leave your workspace, and say, I'm done for the day, and realize there are days that you finish that you're like, man, I did not get done what I was supposed to get done today. And you might work until 6 or 7 that night, but at a certain point, close the laptop, be done with it. I'm not thinking about work when I'm done with work. That's how you convince your brain to actually be able to rejuvenate a little bit. The next one is, of course, I want to touch on the fact that if you have kids at home, I don't yet have kids at home. I have a dog. My husband is home all winter. He works 6 months on, 6 months off. That's the life of a firefighter. But it's not like I'm taking care of him. It's just that I could hang out with him on the couch all day if I wanted to, or go and hang out. We could go do things, but I don't. And so, of course, kids are very different. They need you. They require you. And I want to acknowledge working from home with kids is entirely different than this. There are legitimate demands of your attention that someone working from home, an entrepreneur like me right now, does not actually have to deal with. I think it actually makes your structure more important. I do coach many moms that are also business owners that I have been able to kind of figure out and work ways around how to be a mom and how to also be a business owner in some capacities. I know when I have my own kids, this is going to look different than probably what I expect it to be, but you need to know, when am I working? When am I parenting? When do I have children that are my responsibility? When do I have help? What can I do while my children are present? What do I absolutely require help to need? And what can happen when the kids are around versus not? Now, I know I have some clients that are like, I don't want my kids to see me working on my laptop. And I have some of my clients saying, I actually think it's really good for my kids to see me working on my laptop. But it's up to you to create more of this structure. If it means that when your kids are at work are your working hours, that's fine. I have people that are like, Maddie, I have to be done with work at 3:00 because that's when school pickup is. Again, I don't care what your working hours are. It just means you have to be structured. If you are working from home while you have kids at home, I would say you have to structure in what are the times that you are doing your uninterrupted work, your work that cannot happen when kids are around. That is what you have to work your life around. That is your non-negotiables, because everything else might be able to happen in the in-between, right? You can be sitting on the couch while your kids are playing, doing some of this work, or sitting at the kitchen table, whatever, doing some of this work while the kids are at least occupied. It does add another layer. That's something we can talk about another time. You have to be flexible, but that doesn't mean that the structure is non-existent. Structure is going to be more important the more complication that you add into things. There's 2 more things here. 1, use the perks of working from home, because you do have perks from working from home. Great. So I'm supposed to recreate a corporate office inside my house is not what I'm saying here. The flexibility is one of the best parts of business. It makes me so incredibly happy that when my family needs me across the country, I can fly across the country and still get my work done and still be productive. If you want to work out at noon, do it. If you want to walk your dog at lunch, go ahead and do it. If you want to start work at 7 a.m. because that's what makes sense for you, you get to create your schedule. You just have to stick to it. You just have to be somebody that can be disciplined enough to know I'm working versus when I'm not working. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm not doing. The goal is to not eliminate the freedom. The goal is to build freedom with structure. And I talk a lot about freedom and building balance in life and business. And honestly, I think I do a pretty great job of it, if I do say so myself. What this means is you need to have more structure so you can have more freedom. It's just really how it works at the end of the day. Last but not least is my mantra. You may have heard me talk about this before, but this is something that I think really helps when I'm working from home, is an object in motion stays in motion, which means if I am feeling fruity, if I have creative flow going on, if there's just some of those days that you are and you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do the thing. I have a really great idea and I'm feeling really excited about it. I don't stop myself in those moments. Even if it's 8:00 at night and I've been going for 3 extra hours today, if I am rocking and rolling, I keep myself going. Now, I know this is contradictory to knowing when to stop working, but not every day is going to feel like this. So again, this is for more business owners. But if you are feeling froggy and you're feeling like you could keep going because you have extra flow, extra creativity, you need to know, okay, keep it moving. So when you want to be off in 3 days or you don't want to have to do this, you also can work a little bit more. I pay attention to my own energy all the time. If I'm incredibly inspired, who am I to stop myself because it's 5:00? I know that only comes every once in a while. Those really fun ideas and that inspiration and that creativity in that brain, I know that doesn't come all the time. So I utilize it when I have it. But if I start to dwindle, there's usually like a point where you're kind of like, whoo, when you're doing a project like that, or you kind of start to come down from your big creative flow, I stop. And so you have to understand that an object in motion stays in motion, which basically means if I am rocking and rolling, who am I to stop myself? If I am getting sluggish, I need to go change something, whether that's go for a walk, whether that is, do some jumping jacks, whether that is go get a fun drink, even if it's a sparkling water, whatever that might be, you might need to reset yourself. So if you are in motion, stay in motion. You have to pay attention to your energy, but low energy doesn't mean do nothing. It means you have to do lower energy tasks. Understanding that being a business owner in general is understanding your energy and being able to adapt what is actually going to work for you, especially as women. Throughout our cycles, we feel very different throughout different times of day, throughout different times of week, throughout the month. And so I know I just don't get the same amount of creative flow during my luteal phase versus my ovulation and my follicular phase. So I kind of work my life around that a little bit. Now, I don't utilize days that I just don't feel 100% as days that I do nothing. It's just days that I do different tasks. And that is something that is really important. Working from home effectively isn't about forcing yourself to work 8 perfect hours that are productive and that look the exact same. That is not utilizing the perks of working from home at all. It's learning yourself well enough to know, when do I work best? What structure do I need? What are my non-negotiables? What boundaries keep my work from bleeding into my entire life? When can I push? And when do I need to stop? That is what you need to be able to do. And then it's, how can I also have a full life outside of business? Because it's really easy to feel like your life is your business when it's in your home. Working from home gives you an incredible amount of freedom, gives you a lot of flexibility, and you should be able to utilize that. Freedom works best when it has structure around it if you want your freedom to also build. If you also have ambitions that you are trying to scale and you are trying to grow and you are trying to reach your goals. Create enough structure to get yourself into motion, create enough discipline to accomplish the things that matters, create enough boundaries that your home can still feel like a home, that you're able to relax and that you're able to enjoy, and give yourself enough freedom to actually enjoy the reason that you get to work from home in the first place, whether that's business or corporate or whatever. It is a lovely thing that you get to be able to do because you don't have to commute, you get to stay home, there's not as much mumbo jumbo in your day, but you have to create reason for your life to still feel fulfilling outside of it as well. It's one of the biggest things. Get your dang self out of the house. Again, remember, an object in motion stays in motion. Learn how to get yourself into motion and then learn how to utilize your energy to be the most productive that way. I hope that this was helpful for you. This is something I get asked all the time, and I kind of had the idea the other day of creating this episode. If you have any questions on it, please feel free to reach out. If any of these things resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you on Instagram at This Is Madison page. Please reach out to me. Again, I've been working from home for over a decade, and I love it, and I've always thrived in it, and I have a lot of credentials around that in my life. And so I would love to answer any questions that you have, any nuances in this. Please feel free to reach out on Instagram. It truly makes my day when I get to go ahead and meet you and stalk you on Instagram that way as well. I hope you have a great day. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.